Message to the Blackman, Part 8 by Elijah Muhammad. That old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world, Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, is a person or persons whose characteristics are like that of a serpent. Serpent or snakes of the grafted type cannot be trusted, for they will strike you when you are not expecting a strike. Let us refer to Genesis. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse's heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. That is in Genesis chapter 49, verse 17. Here Jacob, on his deathbed, foretelleth the future of his sons. Moses calls Dan a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 22. That old serpent, devil, and Satan, the old beast, is the dragon which deceiveth the whole world of the poor, ignorant, darker nations, and has caused them to fall off the amount of prosperity, success, and independence by accepting advice, guidance, and empty promises which he, the serpent-like Caucasian devil, never intended to fulfill. How well the prophets have described the characteristics of this race of devils as corresponding to the nature of a snake. Most snakes wobble, make a crooked trail, and whenever they crawl. So it is with the white race, which goes among the black nation, leaving marks of evil and crooked dealings and doings. In spiritual dealings, there again you will find them like a snake, following on the heels of the truth bearers and the messengers of God, to bite the believers with false teachings and fear, in order that they may cause them to fall off their mount of truth. Like a snake, he parks in and on the pathway of the so-called Negroes who seek the way to freedom, justice, and equality. In many instances, they threaten you with imprisonment, the loss of your jobs, hunger, lack of shelter, and disrespect of human rights. On some occasions, they threaten to take away your very life. By speaking evil of the truth, Allah and His Apostle, and Islam, they cause fear to enter into the hearts of the weak believers, and they fall off the mount of the truth of God, which would have saved them from the fear, harm, hunger, and lack of shelter. As He caused the fall of Adam and his wife from the Garden of Paradise, so they are trying to cause the fall of you and me and prevent us from entering paradise by not believing in Allah and His religion. Allah God drove out both Adam and Eve and cursed the serpent and set a day of execution upon the human serpent, the devil, and Satan. And enmity and hatred, discord, dislike, disapproval between the apostles and the prophets of God and the human serpent. And God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That's in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Notice that the above verse refers to the woman's seed as it, and in the last two words of verse 15, his heel is used. The woman's seed and the serpent's seed are involved. Therefore, the seed of the two will settle the wrong between the woman and the serpent caused by the serpent in the Garden of Paradise 6,000 years ago. The woman's seed shall bruise the serpent's head. What is the head of this human serpent? It is the false religious leaders of the human beast serpent. Come hither, I will show unto you the great judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the habitation of the earth have been made drunk. They are silly drunk from the false teachings of the head of the serpent. Under this drunkenness they war against the truth, and persecute and kill the servants of truth, thinking that they are doing God's will, or they try to prevent the truth from manifesting falsehood. In the fourth verse, the woman is arrayed in purple and scarlet color and is filthy. In the 1st and 16th verses, she is called a whore. The beast supports her. Who is like unto the beast? who is able to make war with him. Revelation chapter 13, verse 4. The beast that is spoken of in the prophecy of the last book of the Bible called Revelations and has and is still being much misunderstood by my people. But one thing is for certain. The name beast is believed by most all readers of the book to refer to a person or persons, which is right. But who is a person or persons? There is mentioned in the same chapter and a verse a dragon which gave power to the beast. Who can this dragon be? Is he also a person? Then how are the two related? The 18th verse of the same chapter reads, Here is wisdom. Let him have understanding. Count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. Here we are told that the number of the beast referred to is a man or people. Now the only way of knowing just what man or people is to watch and to see what man or people's doings or works compares with the doing and works of the symbolic beast of Revelation. The name beast, which is given to the person, refers to the person's characteristics, not to an actual beast. Study the history of how America treats the freedom, justice, and equality, which is supposed to be given to all citizens of America. Of course, the Negroes are not citizens of America. A citizen cannot and will not allow his people and government to treat him in such a way as America treats her so-called Negroes. To call a person a beast is simply to say, according to the English language, nouns: violent person, berserk or berserker, a demon, a fiend, shaitan or shaitan, or Satan or dragon, evil, spirit, Santanas, devil, Diablo, Iblis, Azazel, Abaddon, Apollyon, the prince of the devils, the prince of darkness, the prince of this world, the prince of the power of the air, the wicked one, the evil one, the arch enemy, the arch fiend, the devil incarnate, the father of lies, the author and father of evil, the serpent, the common enemy, the angel of the bottomless pit. Adjectives: satanic, devilish, diabolic, hellhorn, demoniac, savage, brute, fierce, vicious, wild, untamed, tameless, ungentle, barbarous, unmitigated, unsoftened, ungovernable, uncontrollable, brute, force, forcibly, by main, with might and main, by force of arms, at the point of the sword or bayonet, the devil and Satan. The above and the explanation of the beast, when applied to human beings or people in general, according to Rogers International Thesaurus, the so-called American Negroes have and still suffer under such brutish treatment from the American Christian white race who call themselves followers of Jesus and his God. The Revelator could not have been better described by the white race way of dealing with the black nation. They, the white race, are the people described as beasts in the revelations of the Bible. Study them and their history and dealings with people, and you without hesitation agree with me 100% that these are the people meant by the Revelator, who foresaw their future and end and wrote it while he and his followers were in exile from the Holy Land 6,600 years ago on the island of Palan in the Aegean Sea, where he grafted the present white race. The revelation is claimed by the Christians to have been given to St. John the Divine, who was a follower of Jesus, but this is erroneous and wrong. It is by the father of the white race, Mr. Yaqub or Jacob. The white people other than the beast are mentioned as worshippers of the beast, and they, the people of the darker nation, worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast. The power given by the dragon to the beast refers to a higher wisdom and knowledge of the time and wise preparedness. The chief head and spiritual guidance of the white race is the Pope of Rome. God and his prophets could not have given the white race a better name, serpent, according to the characteristics of that race. The serpent of Genesis chapter 3 verse 1 was another one than the devil, white race. He deceived Adam and his wife, causing them to disobey Allah God, which was the plan of the serpent devil according to the history of the devils. Their greatest desire is to make the righteous disobey the law of righteousness. They are referred to by this name, serpent, in the Holy Quran. ayat Surah 37, ayat 65, translated by Maulvi Muhammad Ali, to a tree that grows in the bottom of hell, its produce is as the heads of the serpent which the disbelievers shall eat from. In this footnote, he says that the Arabs apply the name shaitan to a sort of serpent having a mane, ugly or foul in the head and face. And Mr. Abdullah Yusuf Ali's translation of the Quran in English, the same chapter and verse, Surah 37, ayah 65, it reads, "The shoots of his fruit stalks are like the head of devils." The Bible's forbidden tree in Genesis chapter 2, verse 17, was a tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This also tells us that the tree was person, for trees know nothing. This tree of knowledge was forbidden to Adam and Eve. The only one whom this tree could be is the devil. After deceiving Adam and his wife, he has been called a serpent due to his keen knowledge of tricks and his acts of shrewdness. He made the acquaintances with Adam and his wife in the absence of God. Since this is in the nature of a liar, he can best lie to the people when the truth is absent. We know that there was never a time when the actual serpent or snake could talk and deceive people in the knowledge of God's law. The same serpent is mentioned in Revelation chapter 12:9 as a deceiver. There, in Revelation 12:9, it is made clear to us that the serpent is the dragon, devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, he appeared in the paradise before the woman and deceived her. Revelations chapter 12, verse 4, he stood before the woman who was ready to be delivered to devour her child as soon as it is born. The serpent, the devil, dragon, Satan, seems to have been seeking the weaker part of man, the woman, to bring to nothing the man, the divine man. It is his first and last trick to deceive the people of God through the woman or with the woman. He is using his woman to tempt the black man by parading her half nude before his eyes, and with the public lovemaking, indecent kissing and dances over radio and television screens and throughout their public papers and magazines. He is flooding the world with propaganda against God and his true religion. He stands before the so-called Negro woman to deceive her by feigning love and lovemaking with her, give the so-called Negro woman preference over her husband or brother in hiring. In some cities, the Negro woman receives a much higher salary than the so-called Negro man. The devil takes the so-called Negro woman and puts his hands and arms around her body. She may be married or single, it makes no difference. Whenever he can, he is making eyes at her. This is an outright disgrace and destruction of the moral principles of the black man. In some cities, we convert 5 to 1 woman. The so-called Negroes should unite and put a stop to the destruction of their women by the serpent. The woman in Revelation chapter 12, verse 4, actually refers to the last apostle of God, and her child refers to his followers, or the entire Negro race, as they are called, who are not ready to be delivered. According to the word of Allah God and the history of the world, since the grafting of the Caucasian race 6,000 years ago, they have caused more bloodshed than any people known to the black nation. Born murderers, their very nature is to murder. The Bible and the Holy Quran Sharif are full of teachings of this bloody race of devils. They shed the life blood of all life, even their own, and are scientists at deceiving the black people. They deceive the very people of paradise. In the book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 13, they killed their own brother. In Genesis chapter 4 verse 8, the innocent earth's blood. Genesis chapter 4 verse 10, revealed it to its makers, thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. The very earth, the soil of America, soaked with the innocent blood of the so-called Negroes shed by this race of devils, now crieth out to its maker for her burden of carrying the innocent blood of the righteous slain upon her. Let us take a look at this devil's creation from the teaching of the Quran. And when your Lord said to the angels, I am going to place in the earth one who shall rule, the angels said, what wilt thou place in it, such as it would make mischief in it and shed blood? We celebrate thy praise and extol thy holiness. That is in the Quran, Surah 2, Ayat 30. The devil's race is still doing that, making mischief and shedding blood of the black nation whom they were grafted from. Your Lord said to the angels, surely I am going to create a mortal of the essence of the black mud fashioned in shape. Surah 15, Ayat 28. The essence of the black mud, the black nation, mentioned is only symbolic, which actually means that the sperm of the black nation, and they refuse to recognize the black nation as their equal, though they are made from and are by black scientists by the name of Yaqub. They can never see their way in submitting to Allah and the religion, Islam and his prophets. The slave masters' every cry is to beat, kill the so-called Negro. Maybe the day has arrived that Allah will return to the devils that which they have been so anxious to pour out on the poor, innocent so-called Negroes. Allah will give them your own blood to drink like water, and your arms and allies will not help you against him. Revelations chapter 16, verse 6. The head of the bodies of the so-called Negroes are used to test the clubs and guns of the devils, and yet the poor, foolish so-called Negroes admire the devils regardless to how they are treated. America is now under divine plagues. One will come after the other until she is destroyed. Allah has said it. The so-called American Negroes actually believe that they have the same right as the American citizens to go by any place in white America they please and be accepted or allowed to enter white society on an equal basis with the white man. If you understand that what you are seeking to be accepted into, and if you understood the nature of those whom you are seeking to integrate with, you would instead be seeking your own people's society or building one of your own on some land or territory separate from the American whites. We need land wherein we can build our own society, free from the tension, hatred, and violence that have accompanied our race relationship with the white race of America. When you learn that the white man is not your brother, you will readily begin to see and accept the divine plan that Allah, God, has in the workings for our people, who has been our aggressors and murderers ever since we have been in America, who by nature was made quick to shed blood, even his own. And how much easier is it for them to shed our blood? They are heartless, merciless when it comes to you and me. We all know this to be a true answer. Whether you wish to bear witness with your tongues or with your heads, we know that the white man is our aggressor, the hater of good, justice, and equality for you and me. Do not expect for your former slave master's children to give you the privileges to do as you desire in his own house. According to the Emancipation Proclamation, we as a people were proclaimed free to go for ourselves. In other words, we were on our own to build a nation of our own regardless of our hardships and barriers. But this we did not do because we were unable and unqualified in the knowledge of self and how to build a civilization of our own. And today our people are too afraid and doubtful, even though a way is being made in the wilderness by Allah, God in person. Many so-called Negroes despise and hate black supremacy without having knowledge of what this means, and yet they support and believe in white supremacy. If you say you do not do either, then you are neutral. But nay, some must rule over the other. It is the law of nature. The ex-slaves of America desire to go to their white slave master's restaurant instead of building one for their own self and kind. You want to go to their schools and learn with white people who hate your very shadows. I say to you, this is a disgrace to act so dependent and loving toward the people who have been your worst enemies, and you will go to war against each other before they will give you and me equal justice under their own laws. Allah God is offering you heaven at once on accepting him for your God, enjoyment, and unlimited progress in the new world of universal peace and happiness, unlike anything ever seen, heard, or imagined since the creation of the universe. You are not American citizens or members of the white man's world. The only American citizens are the white people who are originally from Europe. So why fight a losing battle by trying to be recognized as something you are not and never will be? I am not trying to disillusion you, but merely telling you the truth. Almighty Allah came to make himself known that he alone is God, and besides him there is no God, and there is no equal to him. I know of none his equal. I am going to do my part in representing him and teaching his words of truth. We do not need soft talk when it comes to the truth. We need the truth that will pull us off our knees from begging and put us on our feet as intelligent men and women, no longer dependent upon the slave master, but striving to build an independent nation of our own, as others have done before us. We, the black people in America, have to fight against great opposition coming to us from all sides, the ignorant blacks and the wise, the skillful whites who envy our progress in the way of self-support. They hate the widespread of truth and that Allah has revealed here in the worst part of our planet Earth. A truckload of our papers Muhammad speaks was set afire by the envious and jealous haters of the progress this paper is making toward the truth to the mentally dead of our people. Oh, seek refuge in Allah from which evil, for I know a day that is coming to them when they will wish too were Muslims. We have thousands of darker people joining Islam all over the earth, but a very few whites accept Islam. The door of Islam has always been open to everyone who desired to accept it, but today it is different. The door of this religion is now being closed against the white race, which has repeatedly rejected Islam, made mockery of it, persecuted and killed the prophets and the believers, the followers, hid and concealed the truth of it and its God, Allah, who is the God of the universe, and Islam, his only religion. They follow the poor teacher of Islam, seeking a way or an excuse to kill him. They put spies, stool pigeon on him to try to find a way to charge him with something other than the truth in order to do him evil for the truth's sakes that he teaches. As David says in the book of Psalms, chapter 94, verse 20, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? The poor lost found members of the tribe of Shabazz, nicknamed Negroes by their slave masters, can well understand that they are the victims of such a framework against them throughout America when they seek truth, love, and unity among themselves. The white race does not want to see the poor black people of America united in Islam, a religion that is of Allah, God, backed by the spirit and power of God, to unite all its believers into one nation of brotherhood. It is the only unifying religion known and tried by the races of nations of the earth. This the white race knows. They were offered Islam by Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and many other prophets, but they rejected it. And certainly we raised in every nation an apostle saying, serve Allah and shun the devil. So there were others against whom error was due. Therefore travel in the land, then see what was the end of their rejectors. That's in the Quran, Surah 16, ayat 36. The prophets had delivered to them the message of truth and shown them the right way, but they chose to remain in error, doing evil things. This stands true to the people of today. They know the truth and right from wrong, but they like wrong over evil better than right. Therefore, they are against Islam and its truth, the Holy Quran says. Surely we have revealed to you as we have revealed to Noah and the prophets after him, and we have revealed to Abraham and Ishmael and the tribes, and Jesus, Job and Jonah, Aaron, Solomon, and we gave David a scripture. We sent apostles as the givers of good news and as warners, so that people should not have a plea against Allah after the coming of the apostles. The messengers of Allah God bring good news to the people, but if that good news is rejected, therefore they are warned that bad news will come. The Christian white world, whose leader and teacher is the Pope of Rome, the father of the church, claims that Jesus brought a new religion to them, but the scripture of both the Bible and the Quran denies such false charge and makes Jesus' religion the same as the prophets who were before him. Muhammad was also given the same religion of Jesus and of the prophets before him. The Holy Quran further says, surely those who believe and those who are Jews and the Christians and the Sabians, whoever believes in Allah and the last day and does good, they shall have their reward from their Lord, and there is no fear for them, nor shall they grieve. Surah 2, Ayat 62. The religion of Islam is everything that we need for our salvation. The poor black man is waking up to this truth and is coming into Islam by the thousands against the wishes of the white race. Because of the love and the unity of the universe friendship which Islam brings to the believers, this is what the poor black man of America needs more of: true friends. He gets them in Islam. The white race has and still is trying to keep us from having true friends among our own kind or even among ourselves here in America. Because of the truth of Islam, they are now charging that it fans hate against them. According to the Bible, Genesis chapter 3, verse 20 through 24, Adam and his wife were the first parents of all people, white race only, and the first sinners. According to the word of Allah, he was driven from the Garden of Paradise into the hills and the caves of West Asia, or as they now call it, Europe, to live his evil life in the West and not in the Holy Land of the East. Therefore the Lord God sent him, Adam, forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from where he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the garden cherubims, Muslim gods, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the devils out of the way of the tree of life, the nation of Islam. The sword of Islam prevented the Adamic race from crossing the border of Europe and Asia to make trouble among the Muslims for 2,000 years after they were driven out of the Holy Land and away from the people for their mischief-making, lying, and disturbing the peace of the righteous nation of Islam. The Quran says, but the devil made them both fall from it and caused them to depart from that state in which they were. And we said, get forth, some of you being enemies of others, and there is for you in the earth an abode and a provision for a time. The time here refers to the limited time of the Adamic race. This time is 6,000 years. According to the above verse, Surah 2, Ayat 36, they were driven out because they were the enemies of the people of the garden. In these words, get forth, some of you being enemies of others. The others cannot refer to any others than the people of the garden. The Adamic race is still the enemy of the Muslims, the black man. Nevertheless, Allah did not deprive the Adamic race right guidance through his prophets, whom they persecuted and killed. The Adamic white race history is proof that they are enemies of God and the righteous, for they never did sincerely accept a prophet of God. Can they now claim to be the chosen race of God? Why would God limit their time to rule? Why did God send his prophets to warn them that he was going to destroy them? He said, the devil, respite me until the day when they are raised up. Those that are referred to being raised up refer to the resurrection of the black man into the knowledge of the white race as being the devils, the enemies of Allah God and the black nation. He, as the devil said, thou hast caused me to remain disappointed. I will certainly lie in wait for them in the straight path. Surah 7, Ayat 16. What Allah disappointed the devils in was limiting of their rule over the nations and making it manifest to the world of black men that they are the enemies and great deceivers of the righteous. The white race is not and never will be the chosen people of Allah God. They are the chosen people of their father, Yaqub, the devil.